How you guys doing? Welcome back to Q and Updates with your guest hostess, who's the mostest, Elijah Wells. This episode is a very special one because I have my very special friend, New Lewi, joining me today.
Yes, sir.
This is actually part two. This is part two of this, and I was like, "Nah, I'm not about to do my boy like that. Above everything else, I need to make sure he gets his just due."
It was good practice, though.
It is.
That first take.
Yeah, this is talk about persevering. Above everything else, this individual is a father. He is a musician. He is a leader. He is a black man. He is a lot of facets that I can just riddle off, but hopefully you get to learn a lot about him across this entire dialogue. Without further ado, like I've already said, ladies and gentlemen, round of applause for my boy Lewi. Give you a round of applause. Give you a round of applause. There you go.
Thank you. Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
Listen, what they don't know is that we just had a long day.
Yes, my feet are thanking me that I'm sitting down right now.
Yes, they are. As always, I appreciate Ralph for allowing me to guest host this platform, the hostess
Yes.
with the mostest Q and updates on the podcast for Urban Updates.
Yes,
I
sir.
want to start there. Obviously, how did you jump in the game with the Mavor family? Let's start there.
Well, the funny thing is, Ralph, I always knew him as my daughter's dance teacher.
Okay.
That's all I knew about him. But we went to something that they were having in the park where they were performing. And so I went there really to see my daughter perform.
Okay.
But hearing Ralph singing and the group singing, I was like, oh, this is pretty nice. So from there, we just started talking more and more. And he was excited about just getting me in the studio because
Yeah.
we spoke a little bit and he looked up my information. He said, yo, I'm nosy.
Mhm.
He told me who you are. I'm going to look you up. So he looked up some stuff and he's like, yo, you got some dope music. Can
Yeah.
we work together? And that's how it really started. And we just got together in the studio. And then he talked to his group and say, hey, we want you to be a part of the group. I say, hey, more hands the better. If we're all working towards the same common goal,
No, for sure.
let's make it happen.
That's always good, and you mentioned the music as the introduction to knowing him. So let's
Mhm.
start there. Let's take us back to the journey. What is the where did your interest in music and hip hop originate from?
So I grew up, I was born and raised in Jamaica
Okay.
until the age of 13.
Poor, poor,
Yeah. Lord have mercy.
poor.
So I honestly, when I was really young, I was really good at swimming.
Okay.
And I first came to the US to swim in a swim meet in Boca Raton, Florida.
Ooh, rich
Yeah.
Florida.
Yeah. So that's the first time coming to the US. But before that, there was this kid I knew. At that time, I mean, I was only like 7, 8 years old.
Okay.
And he was in his teens, 13, 14. And he always came to the US and always, he had like Big Daddy Kane and Rakim. Like he had some of the old school
The
stuff, man.
greats.
Yes. And Big Daddy Kane was the one that really got me into saying, I want to rap. Like
Okay.
I heard him. I said, yo, I'd like to try this. I mean, I was always into the Bob Marleys and Ninja Man, Shabarangs when I was
Mhm.
growing up. But hearing that side of it, that aspect, I really started falling more and more in love with hip hop. And that's what got me really into it. And I wasn't so much more on the entertainment side or performing. Well, I should say I wasn't so much on being on the mic side
Yes.
of it because what really got me, I guess, really into the music was more on the dance side
Okay.
because I was really into Michael Jackson
Okay.
to the point where I knew all of his dance move. And I was traveling throughout different parts of the island of Jamaica
You're
and they
just
would
busting it
all
out.
me always calling me, don't ask me to dance now. 'Cause I
I
don't
was
know.
about to say you could bust a 1-2
I
step
don't
moonwalk.
I
in
don't
here.
know the moves anymore. You know what I mean? Kicking up the leg.
There you go.
But yeah, that's what really started me. And it was so cool, man, because I used to attract a lot of girls at that time. It's like,
Yeah.
oh, you know how to dance like
He
that.
said, "Ooh, that's that cute break
Yeah,
dancer." Ooh.
yeah, but all the Michael Jackson move. But speaking of breakdance, we had competitions when breakdancing became more and more of a thing.
Yep.
where we were going back and forth. They loved what I was doing with the MJ moves, and then they see these break dancers, and we were battling trying to get the most girls. You know,
Yeah. It's so funny too because in that Rakim era, you see a lot of that when you see movies and flashbacks where they doing a break dance. You have Biggie Smalls rapping on the street, so
Right.
it's like pretty cool that
Yeah.
not only did you fall in love with the musical side of it, but the actual art of the dance. A lot of people
Right.
don't always take heed of that. Like that choreography is not easy.
Oh no, it's not at all. Now that my daughter dances, yeah, there's some times when she's showing me some moves, and I'm like, you can get that from me.
He said, "Oh, that
I
pop,
mean-
lock, and drop it. I don't know what that is."
Well, I should say no. She got it from me because from the early days, but now it's been taken out and
Yeah.
given on to her.
She's spinning on her head, and you be like, yeah, you're on punishment for thinking I can do that."
Or when she tried to take me through all these steps, he's like, wait, what's 9? What's what?
Yeah.
I'm turning where? Nah.
You said 1, 2, 3. I'm already at 4. Hold on, 4, and I'm already bent up in a pretzel. What's going on? That's crazy.
Yeah, pass it on to her. So
You mentioned a couple artists already. So outside of Michael Jackson and individuals from Jamaica already, was there any other influences outside of Rakim?
let's see. I mean, there's been a lot of influence. I mean, growing up in Jamaica, Bob Marley was definitely a huge influence for me.
Mm-hmm.
And when I came to the U.S. at an early age, because I came here at 13, and I didn't have any specific person because I was so caught up in every kind of music,
Okay.
in the reggae, in the hip hop, but also in the rock music. Because
Hey.
for me, especially when I came to the US, if you see a group picture of the swimming photo,
Yeah.
it's like,
The
you know, when they
rock
say,
band.
where's Waldo? It's like, where's
Yeah.
Louis? He's
Yeah.
obviously right there. I'll
Yeah.
be the only black kid out of all of these white kids.
Look, I'm a proponent of doing all those white sports because they gonna give you a scholarship. Golf,
Right.
tennis, swimming, all the stuff that we're not known for is what I specifically want to put on my future child into.
Yeah. So when I got really into so I was getting indulged into all the different artists that I couldn't keep up with all of them.
Mhm.
But what got me into rock music is Lenny Kravitz,
Hey,
because his song,
Mr. No Shirt.
yeah, his song "Fly Away" was the song that I used as my inspiration, imagining myself getting off the blocks.
Okay.
I got to get away.
Yeah,
Just
yeah.
get off the blocks and swim. So at that time growing up, because I was trying to get everything, and at that time I knew some DJs, they had vinyls everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
So I was just so indulged, getting this, getting that, getting this. So it's hard for me to say, okay, this specific artist. I would say later on, especially like my number one rap artist of all times was Busta Rhymes.
Hey, okay.
Because Busta Rhymes, especially coming from that Jamaican background as well, because that's been my style. That I'm mainly marketing the hip hop, but you're definitely going to hear that reggae flavor in there.
Yes.
And so that's what first drew me to Busta Rhymes. And I mean, honestly, well, lately he's gotten a lot more credit than he was before.
Yeah, I seen he had like a Lifetime Achievement Award or something like
Right,
that. He was
yes.
crying on stage and
Yeah.
all of that.
So I'm glad to see that because there's not a lot of people you ask, you say, who's your number one? You don't really hear that. But
Yeah,
for
never
me, it
Busta
was
Rhymes.
Busta Rhymes.
And he even speaks about that also, where it's just like, I don't get my just due, and I've been doing this like I'm a legend in this. So
Oh.
I'm glad that he got that opportunity to be awarded and recognized in front of all his peers.
Yeah, yep,
Yeah, for
definitely.
sure. Your upbringing in Jamaica obviously influenced you a lot.
Mhm.
Outside of the music, outside of just the dance and choreography and all of that stuff, how else has your upbringing back in Jamaica influenced you outside of the music genre?
I would say big time church,
Okay.
huge, especially on my mom's side, because my mom and dad, they didn't get along that well.
Mm-hmm.
And so I mostly was raised with my mom, and my grandmother was heavily into church.
Okay.
But for me, it was very strange. Even though church was the background, it was more on the negative side.
Mm.
And what I mean by that is, like, my mom, she had me out of wedlock. They were just very religious. So my grandmother and I,
Yeah.
earlier on, we didn't have that great of a relationship because they used to say, "Oh, he's Beelzebub, he's child of the devil,"
Mm.
and so I went through a lot of that. Even
Okay.
when before I was born, and there's a lot of complications my mom had when she was pregnant because
Okay.
before I was born, and this is where religion and spirituality kind of separate each other.
Yes.
Like they were just very religious to the point where before she gave birth to me, the church was laying hands on her, speaking a curse for me to die.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Did she just have you out of wedlock, or?
I mean, she had me out of wedlock, yeah. But I mean, there was a lot of stuff going on between her and my dad. Because the other thing is, they were high school sweethearts and moving on to college. And he ended up getting somebody else pregnant.
Okay.
And then they got together some spring break or something.
Yeah.
And, you know, here I come along.
Yeah.
Which
yeah.
is ironic because me and my half brother were 1 month apart.
Oh, he was outside. Outside.
He was outside.
Your dad was no games. Shouts out to the dad. Shouts out to the dads
So,
out there.
so
in the
there was
world.
like some family drama.
Yeah.
So that tied into just them not liking
You're
me.
older or younger by 1 month?
I'm younger by 1 month.
Mm,
Yeah.
that's why.
Yeah. And so there was a lot of hate. So even though I was brought up in the church, I was seen as the dark side, the kid that shouldn't have been type of thing. And that's what I heard growing up. Now, shout outs to my grandmother, because in our younger years, she looked at me as evil. I looked at her as evil.
Yeah.
But a few years before her passing, is as they say, God works in mysterious ways.
Yeah.
It's like we got so close at the end, and almost every single day, she's like, "Yo, you forgive me, you forgive me." I'm like, "Yo, I forgave you already. Just stop saying it." But
yeah.
because she knows how bad she was towards me. I mean, I'm talking about, grandma, and trying to hug her, and she just pushed me, child of the devil, and walk away.
Damn. That's not funny, but Jesus Christ.
Yeah, so she wanted to make sure, and it was good because she was really old school.
Yeah.
When I say old school, I'm talking about we talked for an hour with me explaining to her how they fit the people in the TV. Like that old school, you know what I'm saying? Because she came from the country.
Yeah.
Well, how they get those people in that little TV? I don't understand.
It's so crazy. Just understanding like how life has changed from our grandparents to our parents to just us and then to our kids, your kids and my future kids.
Yeah.
It's just the evolution is one that is looked at least from my point of view, is just like appreciated, needed. And I think technology is just going to take us far beyond anything that we can ever even imagine. For sure.
Right. Yeah.
For sure.
It's a little scary what's going to be 10 years from now.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. What am I going to be 39 10 years from now? So
Wow.
I can only imagine. Pivoting away, you mentioned your kids, and you're a full-time dad and husband. So how do you balance that while pursuing your dreams? And how do you balance it all?
So balancing, honestly, it took a while.
Okay.
It went through a lot of trials and error, because I would say there's been quite a few times I was done with music because I really couldn't balance it. And there was so much demand from the wife and working and the kids. But every time I would stop, somebody kept pulling me back into it over and over again. And it got to the point where, for me, as well as my wife, she's just like, yo, I keep trying to pull him away on other things. We got to find balance. We got to make it work. And because of that, she's been more understanding. So the way that we work, we're very organized in our household.
Okay.
I mean, if you see our calendar, it's lined up. We know what we're going to do. The only thing that makes it a little hard at times is when there's a last minute change.
Yes.
Right? To say, because she look at the schedule. She's like, wait, Louis, that's not on the schedule.
Yeah.
I was like, I know, this just came up. But if I explain it and the necessity of it, she's like, all right. Because she knows that's going to happen from time to time.
Yeah.
So, but it took time, man. It's not like overnight.
I was going to say, what about that journey to getting to that point did you learn about yourself?
One thing that I learned is that I'm supposed to be doing this.
Ooh, talk about it.
Because honestly, like I said, many times I wanted to stop, but something always was pulling me back in. And I honestly felt the last time someone pulled me back into it, like I feel like if I stop now, whether you want to call it God or my ancestors, I feel like they would say, "All right, we're not gonna pull you back in anymore." I
Mm-hmm.
feel like it's at that point.
Yeah.
And so because of that, it's just motivates me in realizing I'm in the right place at the right time.
Yeah.
Like I'm at the point before I used to worry about, wait, I'm how old now? I got 4 kids. Yeah, 4 kids. You know what I'm saying?
For them things.
4 of them things that who I belly me have to feed every day. Pocket empty. So it's just getting to that point where I realize I'm not worried about what time it is, where in time we are, what my age is. What I'm focused on is taking care of myself,
Yeah.
right? Because if I feel like I'm going to be in it for the long run, it's important to take care of me first. And that's what I learned, especially because there was a time back in 2020 I had, no, in 2019 I had kidney failure.
Okay.
And by 2020 I had a transplant. And I got the transplant, which was a blessing, but I was just so out of shape.
Yeah.
But that was my motivation. Not only motivation to be like, I need to be here for the family,
Yes.
but motivation to just get my life together. I've been called to do this. So just do it. Stop worrying about it's too late and it's this and it's that. If
Yeah.
you're called to do something, you do it. If at the end of the day, it just end up being a hobby, if I'm still having fun,
Exactly.
that's what matters.
It's so funny because I'm almost at that crossroad where the stuff that I'm doing with media and production is like that for me. It's just like, yo, I couldn't say that it was a calling, but it's something that I really thoroughly love and enjoy doing. So I'm like, all right, just do that then. You know that you can make a living. You know that it's not going to be what you're making now. It's okay, but you can work to get to that point if you put in the work.
Right.
And it's like the one thing that I know about myself is I can always bet on me. I've always betted on me and always prevailed. And it might not happen tomorrow or the week after, but
Right.
over time, I feel like my only talent outside of writing poetry is that I work hard. I personally feel like that. So I'm like, oh, okay, that is my gift. I
Right.
just work hard. That's it.
No, that is a talent, man. It really is.
Only if the people behind this camera do not know what I had to endure today. It's still gonna go do after this.
Yep.
But it's crazy, man. The question I have written down is: many fathers put their passions last. What motivates you to keep pushing forward in the music?
The kids, to be honest. Because as fathers, right, we tell them, hey, don't stop. You got to keep going. You fall down, get back up again. Especially with my kids, they're all in some type of sports or some type of competition. Like my daughter's into dance, son is into soccer. So it's me telling them. It's funny because I had this moment where I'm just like, yeah, you're falling, just get up, get at it.
Yeah.
And this voice said, are you hearing what you're saying? Are you hearing what you're saying? And I started thinking about it like, I'm supposed to be saying that to myself too. I keep coming up with excuses, but a lot of times your actions speak louder than words.
Amen.
And if they don't see me going after it, it's like, oh, dad did all that talk, but he's not doing anything. He's not pursuing what he wants to do.
Yeah.
So, shoot.
I believe that to be a great leader, you have to lead by example.
Right.
I think that how I personally believe it is that you cannot lead unless it is by example.
Right.
I don't care how much work you put in, how many accolades, how many medals you have. Like, it does not matter unless you led by example.
Right. And it's funny because there are times where I feel like, all right, I'm still here trying to do this and trying to do that. And at some point, I saw my kids just, they follow me on Instagram now. I feel like I'm the popular dad. Like, oh, my kids are following me. Okay. But it's got to that point where they're always paying attention to what I'm doing. And they're happy for me. They're proud of it. Doesn't matter that I haven't gotten to a certain status.
Yeah.
For them, I'm already there.
Hey, talk about it.
And because of that, I went from saying I'm trying to do this and trying to do that to say I am doing this. Like my kids are my fan. They cheer me on and they see what I do, and that gives them motivation to do what they do.
Yeah.
And because of that, I did it.
There
I
you go.
did it. Doesn't mean that I'm gonna stop. I still got a lot more to do, but there's no pressure
Yes.
to make it because I've made it, and now
Yeah.
I'm just gonna keep the continuity going.
Yeah. I think that makes life so much more easier because that's how I feel for myself.
Right.
A friend of mine, his mother passed away from cancer, and she was telling him, "Hey, look, you superseded anything I ever wanted for you."
Mm.
And he was a basketball player. He's like, "If you stop right now, you good."
Mm.
And I think for him, I made it. There's nothing nobody else, no commentator, no statistician, no nothing
Right.
can tell me about bouncing this ball or anything else that I do in life because in my mother's eyes, I made it.
Right.
So I understand when people like, yo, when that validation comes from the people that you're almost doing it for, in a sense,
Right.
that's everything for me.
Oh,
Everything.
hell
I don't have any little ones, but I have my nieces and nephew I got to be an example for. I have my family that I have to lead, even though I'm the youngest. So it's just like, you have to make sure that the people that you're doing it for, after they're done giving you that validation, you're good.
yeah. Right.
That is it. What advice do you give to the individual that's juggling all of these things, though?
Man, sometimes it's motivation or motivational words. It can help,
Yeah.
but sometimes people just got to go through it. And the only word I would say to them, more than trying to motivate them,
Yeah.
is saying whatever you enjoy doing it, find ways to be consistent. Even when you don't, it's like when you're going to the gym, right?
Yeah.
Some days you just don't want to go to the gym,
Oh, yeah.
but you just go anyway. And I say the same thing, whatever you're pursuing, find some way to be consistent, be organized in your life where you said this has to be done. Like for me, with my 9-to-5 job,
Yeah.
it turned out where I go to, there's also a gym there.
Okay.
So because of that, I mean, I don't got to start work till like 8:30, but I wake up 5:30 in the morning
Okay.
because I'm going to the gym first. And I incorporate that in my mindset.
Yeah.
Just as how, because you know how it is. You be like, I'm too tired. I can't do this. But if you know you have to go to work,
Yeah.
you're going to get your ass up.
That's
You're going to
true.
go to work. So I do the same thing. Like when I'm hitting the gym, I say, if I don't get to the gym, I'm not going to get paid. Because I treat it like work.
No, for
Like,
sure.
It is part of my job. I need to go to the gym, work out, take a shower, go upstairs, go to work.
What you put in is what you get out of it.
Right.
Simple as that.
Yeah.
Simple
So
as that.
as far as giving advice to people is, what are you passionate about? Find it and then stay consistent no matter what.
For sure. Pivoting away, new music and projects. 2024, you released a new EP, Back to Hip Hop. Talk to me about it, how that came about.
So back to hip hop is exactly what it says. And what I mean by that is we know the evolution of hip hop and so many things have changed. But with this album, I wanted to take it back to the basics.
Okay.
And that's how even the first song starts. Because the first song, I say, back to the basics. Listen to my favorites, hip hop icons that really made it. Toast to the pioneers. Thanks for creating this. MCs and DJs. Always been a perfect fit. Roots of Jamaica played a big part in it. Stems grew in the Bronx. Then came the branches. Bearing fruit so everybody can bite it. Copying the style. Then get creative. Make a new style. It's the start of evolution. Poetry with the beat. Brought the solution. Tell the tales of the street. Spark revolution. Bleeding from the heart as we expressed our emotion. Hip hop devotion. We moving in unison. This became our function, a prescribed medicine to deal with the pain of living conditions. Hip hop became our freedom.
Okay.
And so that was the focus of it, is it's going back to the basics. We know hip hop became a freedom to us because of the pain and certain things that we went through in life. And so that's what I wanted to do. Honestly, I'm not that proud of this record, but it's only because of how it was mixed. I feel like I would love to take it and remix it and remaster it. But for what it is, it still ties into taking it back to the old hip hop.
Yeah.
But I would love to at some point do a remix of it. And I was going to spend time doing that. but I've been focused on 2025 with some new music.
Yeah.
I feel like at some point I might go back and do it because and that's just me. I'm just not satisfied the way it was mixed. Somebody I was working with, it's like, yeah, I got you. I'm gonna do it, and I paid him what I paid him, and I don't call the money a waste. It's more like, all right, you ain't the person to work with.
Yeah, yeah. Somebody that could have did this a whole lot better.
Yeah,
Especially when it's like your baby or it's you. It's just like, nah, bro. It's a representation of me. I need this to be A1.
right.
Yeah. You said new music. You have an upcoming single, The Real McCoy, Melanin
Yeah.
Magic. Speak to me about it.
So the real McCoy, and that's connected with Mavor
Hmm.
when they were doing the film Melanin Magic, and so they were looking for people to talk about black inventors, black creators, and so I decided to like take the time to think about who I wanted to talk about or
Okay.
make music about, and I remember always hearing the phrase, "Yo, give me the real McCoy."
Yeah.
And knowing that it meant give me the real deal, what's real and not what's fake. And so I took the time to look into that because I've heard about Elijah McCoy, but never took the time to really look into his story.
Okay.
And so it was cool hearing his story where his parents, they fled from slavery via the Underground Railroad, and they fled to Canada. And they were able to have Elijah McCoy there, moved back to the U.S. When he was age 3. But they knew that he was always into fixing stuff. And so they sent him actually to Scotland
Okay.
at age 15. And that's where he got his mechanical engineering degree. But when he came back to the U.S., they say, "Oh, black man can't be no mechanical engineer.
Yeah.
You got to do something else." So he ended up working at the railroad where he was the oiler, and they had to keep oiling the trains because they always had to stop to oil the trains and then have them start again. So he saw the inefficiency of that
Yeah.
and decided to create this oil cup where it automatically lubricate the machines.
Fire.
It was just funny that going from his parents escaping via the Underground Railroad to now him going back into the railroad
Yeah.
feel, you know what I'm saying? Like the play on words
Exactly.
with railroad and him.
Foreshadow.
Yeah, creating that patent. And it's so funny because it was a very simple patent that his competitors started doing the same thing, but it wasn't as genuine. And because of that, a lot of the engineers, when they would order parts, it's like, nah, give me the real McCoy.
Yeah.
Because that's the real genuine stuff. And that's where they started saying that, "Yo, give me the real McCoy." I'm like, yo, that's hot. I'm gonna use that. Give me the real McCoy.
Yeah. That's actually pretty fire. I never knew that that phrase or saying came from that.
Yeah.
It just blows my mind, especially because an engineer, black man. Shout out to the black men that are engineers. I know a few out there. Shout out to you all.
Right. And it's
Oddly
funny
enough-
because
Go ahead.
it's just as you're thinking, I'm how old now and I've never heard this story. It's like this hasn't been taught to me in school. Like what the hell? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
It's pretty funny too because it's like I always wanted to be a mechanical engineer.
wow. Okay.
And I was told that I wasn't smart enough when I was in high school, which drove me not to do it. I went into the world of finance, and I was like, this seems like it's hard enough. But anywho, but yeah, somebody had discouraged me. But it's just pretty crazy. I feel like what would life be as an engineer?
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, totally different. Anything else that's up and coming that you want to plug in?
So other than the new single, I have an EP coming called The Boondocks.
Okay.
And the focus of that is you'll hear a lot of the Jamaican, the reggae and the hip hop combination. Because in that, the first song from the EP is called The Boondocks.
Okay.
And the hook goes, "Coming from the boondocks, where the backdrops filled with zinc rooftops. Mama did the best that she could to preserve a life that's good." So it's just going through that era of where I came from and the struggles of a single mom taking care of her son. So this album really is dedicated to her.
All right.
and just what she's done for me and the evolution of Lewi and how I've grown.
That's fine. That's fine. Um, outside of that, March 28th, you are performing.
Yes, in Yonkers.
Shout out to Yonkers.
Yeah, yeah. I've done a few performances in Yonkers. The first time with this group that I've met there, it's funny because when I went there, the first time I performed in Yonkers, it was for this girl's birthday party.
Okay.
I mean, I was talking about like young kids. I'm going there performing, and we're talking about 16, 17, 18-year-old kids.
Okay.
And I feel like, all right, what am I doing here? But I'm always cool with kids, having kids of my own,
Yeah.
right? So, but it's funny going there because I didn't know this girl. It was her birthday party, and her dad is Melly Mel.
Okay.
So I was like, wait, why does that look like Melly Mel? Nah, that can't be him. But later on, when she called her dad up, and he went up there and he started doing his thing, I was like, yo, that's Melly Mel.
Melly Mel.
Wow. And so it was cool after he finished and coming down, because then he heard me do his thing. It's like, yo, you got some good stuff, man.
Yeah.
Keep it up. And being able to shake his hand, give him a hug,
Yeah.
and be like, yo, I just hugged the icon.
Facts.
You know what I mean?
The legend.
The legend, Melly Mel. And I felt like that was a good, because that was the first performance of 2025. And I felt like it set the tone of what was going to happen.
Yeah.
Going from meeting the legend to now, it's just going to keep like a waterfall effect. It's just things are going to keep happening. It's just going to keep flowing and flowing.
Yeah.
So because of that connection, then there was another show I did in Yonkers, Kill That. And now there's another show coming up. So it's just about connections. And honestly, when I went there, I honestly wasn't thinking I was going to connect with anybody, right? Sometimes it's funny because there's part of me is like, I don't want to go to this thing. It's just, you know, in my head, I'm thinking, I'm a grown man, these little kids. All right, I'll go out there and perform. But we made the best connections, and they loved me. Like, hey, can you come to this other thing? Can you come to this other thing? I was like,
actually,
all right.
as a matter of fact, I can.
Yeah. I'll make room.
Exactly.
Put it on the calendar.
There you go, on the calendar. If you don't learn anything else, gentlemen, put it on the calendar with the wifey. Where do you see yourself in the next 5 years, man?
In the next 5 years, like my temporary goal right now is sync licensing. I want to get more in that field. And it's interesting because I want to get into the sync licensing field, but still brand myself. Because a lot of times people who are into sync licensing, that's their focus. They're making music specifically for sync licensing.
Yes.
And so, I don't know, some people might say, oh, you might have to stick one. But for me, I just feel like I'm still in a position where I want to make what comes out of me.
Yeah.
And not just making it for the product. Even though, to be honest, you want to get in that field sync licensing deal, if you just focus on making it from the product, you could be successful with that. I just know there was a different calling, you could say, where, yeah, I want to be in that field. And yes, there are certain songs I will make towards that, but I still want to make songs that pour out of me. So I want to have in 5 years' time a few sync licensing deals that are going out there while still being independently strong as an artist, doing music. And in 5 years' time, I want it to be a full-time thing where I'm leaving, although my job at Progressive Insurance, that's my 9 to 5. It's been a great job working a hybrid role, which is wonderful, but I know where my passion is. So 5 years from now, having sync licensing deals, doing music full time. And I would say, other than that, is I want my hands in everything. Not just music, acting, which we did a little bit of that earlier today.
I was going to say, for those who are wondering why he has the Big Daddy Kane chain on right now, it's because we were filming a movie today, which you'll see on the COC network. Make sure you tune in.
Yes. So if anybody on the streets trying to snatch this from me, go ahead and snatch it. It's like $10, okay?
Tell you. It's all yours, buddy. Look. What's that Kanye mean? Gotcha.
Got him.
Got him. Is there any dream collaborators? We're going down to the last few questions for you. Any dream collaborations you would want to do?
Oh man, for me, now we're talking dead or alive or just
Dead or alive?
because my dream collaboration always was with Bob Marley.
Okay.
And if anybody have ever heard the Nas and Damian Marley album, like that type of collaboration, I want to have something similar to that.
Okay.
So, and that's an album that don't get a lot of credit, but I urge you to go look it up. That Nas and Damian Marley collaboration, they did a whole album. And you listen to that album and just that collaboration with the reggae and the hip hop, telling you it's fire. And I would love it if I was able to do something like that with the legendary Bob Marley.
You mentioned the Nas and Bob Marley collaboration.
Mm-hmm.
How would you go about it? So obviously I don't know the album, what they did. I have to go do my research.
Mm-hmm.
But how would you approach the album? What type of songs, what type of vibes? Would you stick to your roots because you're both from Jamaica? Like, how do you compose that album, do you think?
So because of the way Bob Marley has been, I mean, he's revolutionary. He has changed the world in the little bit of time that he had.
Oh, yeah.
So because of the way, just generally speaking, how music is today, I would want something that's, he was very famous for his song Exodus.
Okay.
And so that's how I would approach it, as far as we are in this matrix, so to speak, and being able to do a major exodus out of the matrix. And it's not so much of, where I'm referencing the movie Matrix, but that concept, which, by the way, I'm sure some of y'all seen it, was written by a black woman, and she ended up suing, and it was a whole lawsuit, and she ended up getting her money finally because she did the whole Matrix and Terminator thing, and ended up winning for that. But that's on a side thing. But anyway, just that moment of exodus where we're pulling our people, not so much as if you're leaving this matrix, but more of separating yourself long enough to realize who you truly are, and then being able to plug back in, understanding the game.
Yeah.
Because I even when I was joking before with the chain, right?
$10.
Because a lot of people, we like to shine. That's
course.
how it is, right? But I want to be able to pull people to the point where you have somebody, okay, they could shine with a chain and it's $10,000, right? For me, I could pay $10 and whatever, it still looks good. I'm still shining.
Yeah.
I'd rather take $10 and look a little good and take $10,000 that it would have charged me, and instead build my assets.
Exactly.
And I want my people to focus on and kind of relearn to build your assets more than your liabilities, instead of just keep falling back in that trap. Because I'd rather take that $10,000 I would have spent on a chain and put it into investment, so that while I'm sleeping, that money is making money for me. You know what I mean? So the focus of the album would be a major exodus. And like I said, it's not an exodus to forever leave, but it's an exodus to get away, unplug. And I'm speaking from experience.
Yes.
Because I had to unplug from the world for a while. Even with my music I had up before, I took down everything. Took down everything, got off the computer, and had a moment to myself. And so I had a major exodus for myself. And now when I'm plugging back in, I'm now not plugging back in trying to be somebody else.
Exactly.
I'm being me.
A lot of people don't know that I was actually off social media for a long duration. And with me being 29, I grew up in like the bulk of you want to be on social media.
Right.
But because I was off it for so long, now that I am on it, I'm only on it for business.
Right.
I'm only here to conduct business.
Right.
I only show you what I want you to see.
Right.
Simple as that.
Yeah.
Nothing more, nothing less.
And I love my people, man. So that's how I see it. I want it to be, and this is not, I mean, I love all people, but just seeing the struggle of our black people and being able to play a role in uplifting them and pulling them out of whatever I could pull them out of.
Exactly. And it seems like above everything else, you want the album to be impactful.
Well, yeah,
to say
yeah,
the least.
yeah. Because I mean, and then you notice that when it comes to a major exodus, it transcends time, it transcends color, everything. I mean, Bob Marley, everybody of all colors, creed, love Bob
Yes.
Marley.
Yes.
And if I could have that type of combination, and it would be life changing. That would be a massive.
Facts. Before we get into the closing remarks, what is one lesson you've learned in your journey that you would pass along to the next person?
I think I mentioned it before, but it's consistency is the one lesson because I've failed so many times. But no matter how many times you fail, if you just remain consistent, that is really the key.
Yes.
And not being afraid to move. I remember I described this to a brother once where I was saying, because he was talking about he was afraid that if he moves, he's going to move in the wrong direction because he wasn't sure where to go. And I said to him, all right, if you're standing still, not moving at all, it's not going to do you any good.
Oh, yeah.
But if you decide you're going to go left when you're supposed to go right, you going left is going to teach you some life lessons that will help you to turn right.
Yes.
You know what I mean? It's the concept of there's no up without down. There's no left without right. There's no dark without light. So never be afraid of the direction you're going. Just go, and the lessons will eventually turn you in the right direction. So not being afraid to fail and consistency are the two biggest things for me.
I was going to say, I feel like I needed that motivation this weekend. Shoot. You don't even understand what's going on in the personal life right now. Boy, everybody pray for your brother. Pray for your brother, your person next to you. Any final shout-outs or people you want to show love to?
Well, I want to shout out to my family. We were talking about balance, right? Even before we did this, she sent me a text. Where are you?
Oh, boy. Oh, boy. This must not have been on the calendar, folks.
It was on the calendar, but it went later than expected, right?
Yeah.
But I sent her a text, and she's like, all right, he's still handling his business.
Yeah.
So I have to say huge shout out first to my wife and to my family, big time. And the second person I want to shout out really is Ralph, because with the album that we've been working on, with the whole Mavor team, he's played a major role in helping me, because I've been in other groups, and it's funny because my wife said this to me when I said, oh, I'm joining this group, they call Mavor, and immediately she's like, oh. And she did that because I've been in groups where I go in and I go hardcore and I'm spending money on this, spending money on that. And then at the end of the day, they wouldn't turn around and do it for me.
Yeah.
When it's time for them to spend the money in Showtime, where you at? Where you?
So what happened?
So she knows that there are times I've spent a lot of money supporting others, and I had to be honest, and she helped me to look in the mirror, or I had to be honest with myself and say, would those same people do the same thing for you?
Exactly.
And this with Mavor, it was a shift for me. Yes, I went in hesitating, but Ralph especially went out of his way to help me, right? And we were able to go back and forth, helping each other out. There are times where, I mean, not to get into too much, but there are times where he was going through some things as well, and I break him off a little something, and it just brightened his day. And he does the same thing for me. He could be charging me a lot more in the studio, but because one hand washes the other, it's been a blessing. So number one, the wife, the family as a whole, and Ralph Mavor, the whole Mavor crew, thank you so much.
Yes, sir. As always, man, appreciate you having the conversation, stopping by.
Yes.
I appreciate Ralph giving me this opportunity to be the special guest with the hostess, with the mostest. Appreciate you, Lewi. Be sure to check him out on all platforms. Where can they follow you at?
So just look up New Lewi. It's New and then Lewi. It's not hard to find me. You Google New Lewi, you gonna find me.
Simple as that. We are gonna get up out of here, folks. Next Wednesday, QN updates. As always, shout out to Urban Updates. Shout out to Ralph, and we're out of here.